How about next New Year, we go back to my parents' house? It all started with Ethan's words, and it was also the beginning of the end. My name is Madison. I'm a 35-year-old housewife. Ethan and I married after meeting at work. Soon after we got married, we were blessed with our lovely daughter, Natalie, and I quit my job. Now, she's 6 and we visited Ethan's distant hometown for the first time. Hey, is breakfast not ready yet? Mill's voice echoes in the room. Yes, Mom. Just a little longer, I reply while scurrying around. Mill sighs deeply. You're so slow. Ethan, I don't know how you put up with such a wife. Other wives are much more efficient. Really bothers me how slow she is. What the? How dare you? You're watching TV while you're stumbling around. I was about to speak up to complain to my husband when Mill's words fell on me. After preparing breakfast, the next step is to clean up the yard. After that, organize the storage room. Then clean out the outside storage room. It's supposed to be New Year's, the one time of the year when it's okay to relax and take it easy. And yet, why am I being worked to the bone? And my husband, as usual, is just loafing around, which makes me so angry. By the time I somehow finish the tasks I was given, I'm completely exhausted and can't move. I slump down in the living room. Bah, I'm tired. Who told you could rest? Make lunch already. Mill commands without missing a beat. I've been working all this time, let me rest a bit. A wife is pretty much like a housekeeper, trying to eat for free without working. Get to work. But that's, Ethan's family is from the countryside. The countryside, for better or worse, tends to hold on to old traditions. A wife is someone who marries into the family. It must be an old-fashioned way of thinking. But even in the past, there weren't wives who were worked this hard. Could you help me out a bit? No way. Ethan responds immediately, without lifting a finger to help, even at home. Back at his parents' house, Ethan becomes even more of a drunkard, doing nothing at all. It feels like his location hasn't changed since the morning while he lounges around. Hey, I want to go grocery shopping. Then go. Help me out. The supermarket in the countryside is far away. My husband, who has a driver's license, has been drinking all day since this morning, and I don't have a driver's license. So, walking is the only option, but honestly, a 30-minute walk one way is tough to do alone. When I at least ask him to help carry the groceries, he frowns. No way. Again, an immediate response. I feel like throwing a sticky sweet at his face. It would surely stick and be hard to get off. While I imagine this, Ethan casually swings a beer can in front of me. I drank just now. What's with that robot talk? I am drunk. So what? I can't go. So, you means you don't want to go. Got it. Such a useless. Behind my irritated self, Mill yells. Is dinner not ready yet? Enough. I'll buy a ton of sweets. Yo, I'm finally home. The 30-minute walk one way was indeed tough. And on the way back, my hands were full of groceries. I arrive at Ethan's family home, staggering. As I sit down at the entrance, placing down the groceries, I let out a big sigh. That's when it happened. Hurry up. You're such a slow person, just like your mother. So sorry. I heard Mill's scolding voice and Natalie apologizing. At that moment, I felt like that. When I ran out of energy, I was a robot whose reserve energy was activated. Forgetting all my fatigue, I jumped up with vigor and dashed towards the source of the voices. Stepping over Ethan, who was still lounging around, I thought I heard a pathetic ouch, but I ignored it. I headed for the kitchen, where the voices came from. What I saw was, "What are you doing?" Mill and Natalie turned to look at me all at once. "Oh, Mom. What, you're finally back?" Seeing my face, Natalie's eyes lit up, though I could see tears in them. Against my daughter, there was my Mill, who was sitting slumped over in her chair. "What are you doing?" I asked, and Mill just snorted. Looking over, Natalie was holding the inner pot of a rice cooker in her hands. "Why, Natalie, what are you doing?" Stammering, my daughter explained. She said, well, Grandma said she was hungry, so I have to prepare something. She told me to cook rice first, so I washed the rice. Oh, my God, what a useless granddaughter. She can't even cook rice. What are you teaching her? Well, like mother, like daughter. I wonder if she really is my son's child. I couldn't hold back when she started on my daughter. Mill, she's only 6 years old. Asking such a young child to cook rice, well, she knows how to do it, but you can do it, can't you? How dare you do that to your own granddaughter? Mill turned red in the face and screeched. How dare you suggest making an old woman work? What a terrible woman you are. Listen here, a wife is essentially a housekeeper. It's only natural for her to work in silence. And a housekeeper's daughter is a housekeeper too. Housekeeper. After all, who do you think is supporting you? You're living off the money my son works so hard for. You should be respecting my son and me. Stop complaining and work, housekeeper, Mill exclaimed and walked out of the kitchen. I was so taken aback by her fury that I couldn't say anything back. Caught up in the moment, I was speechless. Mill apparently went to the living room where Ethan was. I could hear their voices. Your wife is useless, isn't she? Less than a housekeeper. Well. I'm sure my daughter will be useful when she's older, so we'll just have to be patient for a bit. You must be having a hard time too, right? You're welcome to come back home, you know. Divorce. That's fine too, but we'd need a housekeeper, right? That's right. Let's move in together if you want. I'm fed up with my current job too. Let her work, and I can relax and live in the countryside. What did Ethan just say? I was chilled by his horrifying statement. That sounds nice. Mill agreed, and I stood there, frozen. Clenching my fists, I suddenly felt a warmth over my hand. Mom. It was Natalie. I slowly looked at her face. Natalie looked up at me with a worried expression. I crouched down to her level and spoke softly. Hey, Natalie. What is it? Do you like Dad? She couldn't answer right away. Of course, that would be the case. Ethan is indifferent to parenting. When he came home from work, he would either watch TV or play with his cell phone while lounging on the sofa without talking to me or Natalie. On weekends, he goes out drinking and comes home late. Since it's become difficult to go out, he drinks at home until late at night. The next day's hangover is a given. On holidays, he either lazes at home or goes out with friends. Family outings are rare, to say the least. When was the last time we went out together anyway? How many months, or even years, has it been since this family trip called homecoming? Ethan probably doesn't even know which class Natalie is in at kindergarten. What she likes, what she dislikes, he knows nothing. He has no interest in what she wants to be when she grows up. He probably doesn't even know she's starting elementary school next year. It's no wonder Natalie can say she loves a father like that. It's only natural. So, I asked her again. Ben, do you like Grandma? I don't, she answered quickly. I chuckled. After being yelled at like that, of course. Then, Natalie said something unexpected. Because Grandma bullies Mom. It's supposed to be New Year's, but Mom can't relax at all, right? Always being told to do this and that. Grandma is terrible. Kids observe more than we think. Well, if you're being ordered around so blatantly, it's noticeable. I chuckled and then asked something important. Natalie, do you want to live with Grandma? My daughter shook her head. Do you want Dad around? No need. What a straightforward answer. And then, my decision was made. The next day. I left early in the morning with Natalie. By the time we returned to Ethan's family home, it was completely night. As we entered, Mill and Ethan were waiting, looking irritated. Finally back, huh? What were you doing? Just something. I evaded Ethan's question. Seeing this, Mill said, "Oh, my God, this is what young wives are like these days. Okay, you're now our housekeeper. Hey, housekeeper, I'm hungry. Is dinner and tea are not ready yet?" A Mill who is a commander-in-chief till the end. I silently served them tea. Ethan reached for his teacup, but I quickly snatched it away. Huh? What's the deal? Ethan looked dumbfounded. I then poured the tea all over him. Whoa. What are you doing? Don't worry, it's cooled down. That's not the point. Hey, Stowe, stop it. I drenched him with plenty of tea, swiftly dodging Ethan's hand reaching out, and placed the teacup down with a clink. Hey. How dare you, acting like that when you're just a housekeeper? Mill started, her eyes bulging with anger. Shut up. I am not your housekeeper or anything. I retorted fiercely. Mill tried to stand up and yell back, but I interrupted her. What? Ethan's wife is not a housekeeper. If you didn't know, let me tell you. I am not a housekeeper. I pressed on, seeing Mill unable to retort. Mill was speechless, her mouth opening and closing without words coming out. I glared at Mill, foaming at the mouth, and leaned in close. Eek! Mill shrieked, her face contorting in fear. I didn't care and got closer. The distance was about 4 inches. Listen carefully. There is no system in the world that allows you to abuse me as much as you want. I will protect my family, but I will not become their servant. What? Quoi? I am your husband's mother, you know. Family. So you should protect me. Listen to my orders. Are you out of your mind? If I were a real housekeeper, then we wouldn't be a family. How can you be family if you're the one giving orders to the housekeeper? I calmly replied to Mill's nonsensical argument. Mill's face, which was pale before, is now betrayed. Quoi? What do you mean by you to me? You're calling me you too, aren't you? You started it, so I'm doing the same. Who do you think you are? I intend to be your Mill. Save the jokes for when you're dreaming. I had endured a lot until now. But I can't anymore. Everything has its limits, and with Mill and Ethan's attitudes, my patience finally crumbled. And what? What do you think of your own granddaughter? A housekeeper. Treating your granddaughter like a housekeeper. Enough with the jokes. As I leaned in closer, Mill's face turned pale again. She's like a traffic light, so weak. After all that grandstanding, just a bit of pushback and this is her reaction. Mill's superficiality was a letdown. I quickly turned away, narrowing my eyes in disbelief. Mill, now pale, was trembling slightly. After seeing that, I turned my gaze to another person. Now it's your turn. Ethan replied in a pathetic voice. I glared at Ethan sternly. Your wife and daughter are being treated like housekeepers, and what are you? What were you doing? I was playing with my phone. And drinking beer. You're drinking alcohol while your wife and daughter are being treated like housekeepers. Must be nice. I'm sorry. If sorry was enough, we wouldn't need police. Wah. Ethan let out a pathetic scream as I yelled at him fiercely, and then he tried to hide behind Mill. What are you doing? Frustrated by such pathetic behavior, I decided to get straight to the point and pulled out a piece of paper. Enough already. Sign this quickly. What's that? Ethan peeked out from behind Mill, scared. Like a turtle and its baby. When he realized what was on the paper I was holding, his face turned completely white. A divorce paper. What's this about? I'm divorcing you, so I won't be coming here anymore. At my words, Mill went and Ethan went with their mouths agape. I waved a paper in front of them. I've already filled out my part. I'll submit it to the office right after the holiday break, so write quickly. That paper must be fake. The office is closed, you couldn't have prepared it. Unfortunately for you. Divorce papers can be obtained on holidays and can also be downloaded from the internet. If I take it there today, they'll accept it. When I pushed the divorce papers towards him, Ethan shook his head in a near tearful state. I don't want a divorce. I don't want it. You'd be in trouble without me. Yes. You're relieved to have me doing everything for you. Yes. Because having me as a housekeeper makes things easier for you. Divorce is inconvenient. Yes. No, that's not what I meant. Caught in your own words, Is this deja vu? Just like earlier, Ethan screamed in response to my fierce demeanor. Well, never mind. If he won't write, it's troublesome, but I'll have to consult a professional. Whether you write it or not, I'm getting a divorce. I've already spoken to my parents about it. Natalie. Yes, Mom. What is it? Are you ready? Yep. I've packed all my stuff. Natalie popped her head out in response to my call, holding up her bag. Ho, where are you going? In addition to Natalie's luggage, I also held my own and turned back to Ethan. Good question. We're going back to my parents' house. What? Hey, don't joke. The joke's on you. I wasn't joking around. Where's the non-joking part in a husband who comes home only to treat his wife and daughter like housekeepers? It's nonsensical. We'll discuss the divorce with a lawyer properly. Goodbye. I had said what needed to be said. I picked up our luggage and headed for the entrance with Natalie. Ethan followed us persistently. Wait, you can't live without me. His words brought me to a halt. I slowly turned around, and Ethan stopped as well. After staring at him for a moment, I asked, Forgot what? I was advancing in my career and earning more than you before I got pregnant and quit my job. Even back then, I was earning more than you are now. Ethan turned pale at my words. Had he forgotten, even though we worked at the same place? Such conveniently selective memory. Though there's a gap in my resume, I plan to start working again. My parents have also offered their help. I plan to stay with my parents for a while and gradually return to work. Even if I can turn as much as before, I'll probably manage. No, I'll make it work. Seeing my determination, Ethan was almost in tears. I'm sorry. I'll reflect on my actions. I'll change. So please don't divorce me. You had many chances to change but wasted them all. It's too late for regrets now. With that, I reached for the door. That's when it happened. Wait. Mill, who had been silent until then, spoke up. Just when I thought it was over. Annoyed, I turned around to see Mill with a troubled expression. What is it? I frowned at her, and Mill shouted. What about my meals? Who cares? Defiantly shouting back, this time we finally left Ethan's family home behind. Straight away, Natalie and I went to my parents' house. My parents greeted us with smiles. Well, you had a rough start to the new year, huh? My mother said, urging us to join her at the heated table. Natalie began peeling an orange with a relieved look. Nothing beats a heated table and oranges on New Year's. What a tough new year it has been. Hopefully, next year we can spend it more peacefully. With that wish in mind, I vowed to visit the shrine the next day for the first prayer of the year. Later on, although negotiations with Ethan, who kept saying he didn't want a divorce, were tough, considering facts like Natalie's refusal to see her father, the divorce was finally settled. The child support was, of course, paid in a lump sum. I couldn't trust that man. As a result, the apartment we originally lived in was sold, and Ethan, now my ex-husband, seemed to have moved back to his parents' house. Mom, she is not doing anything. In fact, it's gotten worse than before. One day, I received a call from my ex-husband, whining. Apparently, the neighbors had seen how I was being overworked, and the news of our divorce spread quickly through the rural grapevine. As a result, my former mill is now being looked at with disdain by the neighbors. Well, that makes sense. Even in a rural area, calling your daughter-in-law housekeeper is unimaginable. It's severely outdated. Because of this, my former mother-in-law, who has become reclusive, has had a rough time of it, and she uses her son like a servant. He complained over the phone about their daily arguments. But I didn't care about that. I intended to tell him the child support had been deposited and then hang up. You brought this upon yourself, I said coldly. I could imagine him nearly crying on the other end of the phone. Please, can't you help out a little? I'm Natalie's father, and she's the grandmother. At his words, I smiled, though he couldn't see it, and said, I drank just now. What's with that way of speaking? I am drunk now. Hey. I can't go. Hey. I admit I was wrong. Who's going to go there? I shouted and hung up the phone. I set Ethan's number to reject all future calls. Fortune comes to those who smile. For a while after, I couldn't stop laughing.